Hey, good morning. I want you to know that your team knows that you are burned out. Now, you don't want to admit that you're burned out, but let's just be honest about things. This economy is stressful on you as a leader. Not only is the economy stressful, but the business environment is stressful. There are lots of policy changes that happened a year ago that's going into effect in 4 or 5 months, and you're not sure how this is going to impact your bottom line. You're experiencing what we call margin compression, which is you might have thought you were going to have a 20% margin this year, but you really have a 3% margin, which makes every decision even more difficult because you know it matters more. You're having lots of challenges and you think that you're managing them, but your team clearly sees that you're burned out from all of these challenges. So let me explain to you what burnout looks like for you as a leader. This is what I call executive burnout. And we're not going to have a conversation about burnout in the typical sense. I'm not going to tell you to take a vacation. I'm not going to tell you to take 2 days off or go get a massage or go read a book. I'm not going to tell you those things because the burnout that I'm talking about is not a personal issue. It is an enterprise leadership issue. Your whole organization is at risk because you're burned out and you don't know it, or maybe you do know it, but you don't care enough to do something about it. And it's putting your entire organization at risk because it's teaching your team some behaviors and strategies that are not helpful to dealing with these big challenges you have coming up right now, these big challenges that you've been enduring for the first 7 months of 2026. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the signs that says to your team that you're burned out. And then I'm going to share with you how this is affecting your team, like literally what they are doing in response to your actions and your behaviors. Because if you understand that, number one, you're not okay. Matter of fact, you're pretty far from okay, to quote Marcellus Wallace on Pulp Fiction, that you so far from okay that you don't know what okay looks like because you have normalized behaviors that your team has now duplicated and replicated, but more importantly, has metastasized into their own behaviors that really is putting your entire operation and organization at risk. And so I want you to understand that this is not just your personal issue, but this is an organizational capacity issue because you're compressing the capacity of your organization, making it difficult for people to be able to respond in real time. And so, as an executive leader, you can't continue to carry on like this. This is detrimental to what you were hired to do in the first place. This is detrimental to the vision that you lay out. This is detrimental to every statement or speech or town hall meeting that you do in front of your team. And it all starts with you being burned out. And I'm going to share with you what this is teaching to your organization. So I want you to buckle up. I want you to get a pen, pad if you need to. If you don't want to get a pad, don't worry. This video will remain permanent. You'll be able to go back and watch it later, save it and take notes at some other time. But I want to talk to you about what executive level burnout looks like from you. And here's the first thing. Everything has become urgent. That you no longer set clear priorities for the day or for the week or for the quarter, that everything now is urgent. And so what urgency looks like is that somebody sends an email. Oh, no, let me be clear. You send an email at 11:02 p.m. at night, and you think that you're sending that email and somebody will get back to you tomorrow morning. But your direct reports respond to that email at 11:07. And you be like, wow, they responded to emails this late at night. Well, it's because you sent the email late at night and you're communicating to them that this must be urgent, that 11:02 at night, I'm sending an email to my team. As a matter of fact, you are literally putting out fires all day long. You go from fire to fire, problem to problem, point to point. You're literally jumping because everything is urgent. You haven't delineated what's important from urgent, what's a priority from what's a right now thing. You got to get back to that. But before I go into that space, I just want to point out the problem that to you, everything is urgent. Here's another example that you're burned out, that you're going from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. That literally you get on a meeting and 20 minutes in, you say, hey guys, I'm gonna have to leave early because I got to jump to another meeting. Or you're in a meeting and you say, I got another meeting in 5 minutes. You haven't had any time to decompress, to reflect or think or process or what you did in the previous meeting. More importantly, if there was a to-do that you needed to do after that meeting, you've jumped into so many back-to-back meetings, you've not had time to do it. Trust me, I know. I've been there. I've done that. I've been in this kind of environment where one day I had so many back-to-back virtual meetings. I didn't have time to get up and eat. So I want you to know that you being burned out, that's a sign that you got meetings, and you have no time to breathe in between. No white space to think, no space for creativity, to journal, to reflect, or even to work on anything because you're just going from meeting to meeting to meeting. Now, let me give you another sign. This is really big for me to talk about is small things get a big reaction. That somebody comes to you with a question, okay? And then that question becomes something that you feel like you have to do something about it, or that you got to take action rather than just answering the question. Or somebody brings something to you, and rather than you looking at it as something to deal with, you literally see it as an urgent problem. Just because somebody brings something to you doesn't necessarily make it an urgent problem. So I want you to understand that you have to not react to small things. And if you're reacting to small things, you're creating a chain reaction in your organization that people are going to respond to you in that way. Here's another example of why you are burned out. When you become the holdup around everything, that you think everything is so urgent and so important that you have to bring it back in-house. You have disempowered the people around you, and that now you have to be the person who makes the decision about everything. You become the bottleneck. So you either make the decision too quickly or you hold on to the decision too long. And now things are not getting done because you're the bottleneck. You're the holdup in the decision-making process. That's a sign that you're burned out. If you feel like you got to make every decision. And here's another example, that you're present in meetings, but you're also absent in meetings. Here's a telltale sign, and this has been going over 20 years. I'll never forget sitting in an executive meeting, sitting at a table, doing an important presentation, sharing a strategy document that we were going to move in a new strategy. And the CEO was in the meeting on his phone the whole time. Didn't look up once, scrolling, typing, talking, responding to somebody else. And then when I finish, looks up and says, oh, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and do that. But I could have said, give me $20 million. And he would have answered, that sounds good. I was even tempted to do that, actually, but I didn't. But it's a telltale sign that literally you're burned out as an executive when you're present in meetings, but you're absent. Your presence is there, your physical presence is there, but your mind is not there. That's a sign of burnout. Now, here's the last sign that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to tell you then how this is affecting your team. This sign is one that we all look at as a badge of honor, is when we say things like, yeah, I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning working on it last night. Or, yeah, I sent an email about it at 1 a.m. Like, I mean, we've all done this. I know I do. I've done it seriously a lot of times. To say to people that we were up past midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning working on something. Well, when it comes to your team, that communicates to them the expectation is for them to be up working on stuff at 1 or 2 in the morning. That you wear it as a badge of honor, that you had to burn the midnight oil. And to be honest with you, it is not healthy. It's not healthy for your organization. It's not healthy for you. But clearly you're creating a behavior for your team, and they are responding to it. When I say behavior, I'm saying you're creating a culture on your team. So let me tell you about what this is doing for your team. And I told you, your team sees all of this stuff. They know that you are in this environment of executive level burnout. They absolutely know it. Okay. So I want to give you this context. I'm going to give you this context right now. Thought I had a glitch on my system there for a second, but I think I'm good. When you see everything as urgent as a leader, when you see everything as urgent, that gives your team anxiety. Like literally, if an email comes into their inbox at 11:02 p.m., not in the morning, but 11:02 at night, that gives them anxiety that they expect that they need to respond, that you expect them to respond, so they have to respond. So your urgency, that everything being urgent, is creating anxiety for your team. It really is creating an environment where they feel like they got to be on top of stuff. That is, they can't take time to process stuff. So that makes it even more urgent, because if you send an email and they respond in 5 minutes, then you're going to send an email back. And it creates this bad cycle of urgency and anxiety on your team, that everything is urgent. Nobody can walk around forever in a permanent state of urgency. It creates too much anxiety. So the second thing your team does is that they stop bringing you problems early, because they say stuff like, well, imagine this. I'll give it to you this way. Imagine you in the office with your door closed, and outside of your door are two direct reports, and they walk into each other in the hallway and say, hey, did you talk to him about the problem yet? No, man, he got too much on his plate. He's had a lot on his plate. I said I was going to talk to him last Friday, but last Friday was bad. And so far this week is bad. So I'm going to just talk to it about it next week. So now you're talking 10 days that they haven't brought a problem to you, because they see that you're going from back-to-back meetings, that you're on Zooms, that you're overworked. So they stop bringing you problems early. And then the 5,000 problem turns into a $50,000 problem. Or worse still, the $50,000 problem turns into a $500,000 problem. All because they waited 10 days to bring it to you, because you're in back-to-back meetings and everything else is an urgent priority. So they don't want to add to the burden of your plate. That your team literally doesn't like it when their leader is burdened. So they want to take that burden away. And maybe the way they're taking it away is not bringing you stuff that should be brought to you, because you got so much urgency and priority around everything else. That is not healthy for you, your team, and your organization. And when I mentioned to you about going from meeting to meeting and not having white space on your calendar to think, well, your team is also not operationalizing white space. So they become less creative, less innovative, less problem solve. They cannot think about the problems of the future and be innovative to solve them today if there's an organizational flavor or organizational behavior that we should be in meetings back to back all day, that I should add meetings to my schedule, even though I have a block on my calendar that says don't do X, Y, and Z. Like your team gets less creative. That is a cultural problem when you lose the innovative gene in the organization, because the world is continuing to change. And you need a team of people who feel free to be innovative and creative to solve those problems. But it's hard for them to do that when you've created an enterprise environment where urgency and back-to-back meetings and big reactions to small things are the standard of the day. Now, here's the last thing I'll tell you that your team is. Your team is like your kids. And when I say they're like your kids, you ever heard the phrase, kids will do what you do, not what you say. So you can tell them to brush their teeth. You can tell them to put on deodorant. You can tell them to comb their hair. You can tell them to button up their shirt. You can tell them all of these things. You can tell them everything that you want to tell them. But here's what I know. They're going to do what you do. So if everything is urgent for you, if you're in back-to-back meetings, if you turn small things into big negative reactions, if you become the bottleneck and hold up and you feel like you got to make all decisions, if you are present but absent at the same time, if you wear exhaustion as a badge of honor, that's exactly what your team is going to do. That's what they're going to do. So I want you to understand that they're going to do what you do as an executive. You're the role model. They look up to you. They're so excited to see someone that reminds them of themselves at the executive table, being in the leadership role that you're in. They're looking up to you, and you're modeling bad behavior because you're burned out. You're modeling what not to do, but they have seen it as, this is what I got to do to get to the top. This is what I got to do to be in the big chair. This is what I got to do to reach that executive level where I'm reporting to the CEO. They literally are modeling that bad behavior. That's the environment that you have created. So I want you to know that this burnout is an enterprise issue, and is limiting your capacity. It's smashing your capacity. You're going to have zero capacity as an organization, not just zero capacity as a leader, but as an organization. So let me tell you how you fix this, because I think that's the most important thing. And I'm almost done here because I don't want to be before you very long, but I'm going to tell you how you fix this. I'm going to give you 4 words to focus on. The first word is to recognize. The second word is to reset. The third word is redesign. And the fourth word is to recover. So I'm going to give you the framework that if you are demonstrating burnout as an enterprise leadership issue because of everything being urgent, back-to-back meetings, small things getting a big reaction, that you become the bottleneck and the hold up and have disempowered your team because you want to control the decision-making. And if you're in plenty of meetings, but you on your laptop or on your phone working while you're in the meeting rather than paying attention, and you out here wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor, I'm going to show you how to reset. Or actually, before I tell you to reset, you're going to recognize what's going on. You're going to reset. You're going to redesign your process. And then I'm going to talk to you very quickly about recover. So here's what the recognition looks like. Of all of the things that I laid out, with everything being urgent or back-to-back meetings, small things getting a big reaction, you being the decision-making bottleneck, or you're in meetings on your phone all the time and you answering emails at 1 a.m, I want you to ask your team. I'm not telling you to do a checkup from your neck up. I told you that last week. I don't want you to do the checkup for neck up. I want you to ask your team, hey, do you feel like I'm working too hard? Do you feel like I'm doing too much? Am I the holdup? Do you think my calendar is working? Like, you should actually ask your executive assistant about your calendar. Literally ask your EA, what do you think about my calendar? Am I got too many meetings? Be honest with me. Ask them. We already talked about why your team won't be honest with you is because of how you react. So I'm telling you now, don't react no matter what they say. Like, you literally need to just ask them, what do you think about my calendar? Am I doing too much? Do I have too much on my plate? Ask the question and let them tell you what they recognize. I'm not asking you for what you recognize because you never going to recognize it because you enjoy the grind. That's how you got to the top. You know that's how you got to the top, is by the grind. But I'm asking you to ask your administrative assistant, your executive assistant, am I doing too much? Is my calendar too full? Am I overreacting when people bring me stuff? Am I the holdup on the work that we need to get done? Am I taking too long to make decisions? Or am I making decisions too quick? Ask them. And whatever they tell you is the recognition that you're going to need to reset how you create the space and the time to slow down so your organization is not burned out and you're not burned out. Now, here's what the reset looks like. You got to start thinking about, what meeting do I absolutely have to be in? Meaning that you're the only person who has the ability to do something or to say something to give people the answer. Or where can you empower people on your team or re-empower people on your team and let them make the decisions? Like, this is a concept that I call highest and best use, or your zone of genius. What is the thing that only you can do? But there might be other things that everybody else can do. You might be in meetings asking to give brain power on something that's a decision that should be below you. Like, what color font y'all use in a document? That ain't for you to be worried about. It ain't probably not even worried about for you to be focused on which word we use in the document. You let the communications team worry about that. You just need to worry about, is the document directionally right? Does it hit the major points? And the takeaway of the document is what we want to project as a leadership team, as an organization. So I want you to understand that you have to get yourself out of the way. So you may have to reset what meetings you go to. You may need to integrate something that I've integrated for the most part in my organization. Like, today is Wednesday. This is what I call White Space Wednesday. I do no meetings on Wednesday. When I mean no meetings, I literally have my calendar blocked for the full day, that I'm not in back-to-back meetings. I'm not doing Zoom meetings. I'm not doing a bunch of stuff. I do this live every Wednesday morning. But then after that, I got white space to follow up on things that I need to follow up on, to be creative about the thing that I'm going to do next quarter in my business or next year in my business. And it may not be a Wednesday for you. It might need to be a Friday for you, Freestyle Friday, or, Manage Monday. I don't know what the day is for you, but you got to find a way to reset things in your life, your business life, on your calendar, so you have more white space to think, to be creative, to follow up on all of the stuff of the back-to-back meetings you had on Tuesday or on Monday, or the ones you had last Friday. I don't know what it is, but you're going to have to figure it out. That's what the reset is. Now, the third part is the redesign. Now, when I say redesign, I want you to start thinking about, why are you at this level of burnout? Are you short-staffed? Have you put too many projects on people's plate and on your plate? You got to redesign the work. Do you need to implement a new tool or a new app to manage it? For my entrepreneur leaders, it's things like Asana or Monday to help you project manage things, or put tasks in so you know what to do, when to do them, so you're not like jumping to do them every day. I just went to a workshop, a professional development workshop a couple of weeks ago, with someone who talked about, make a list of all the things that you need to do daily, the things that you need to do weekly, the things that you need to do monthly, and the things that you need to do quarterly, and set up a cadence. So literally you can build your calendar around the things that have to be done daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly, and create that space. You got to redesign your calendar as an executive. And you probably need some help with that. It ain't going to be me to help with that, but I can recommend some people to help you with redesigning your calendar. Now, the last thing is what I call the recovery. So when I say recovery, I want you to know that a big part of preventing burnout is knowing how to recover when it starts to happen, and recover quickly so it doesn't ever happen again. And I'm going to give you two things that you need to think about. The first thing that you need to think about is you need to learn how to empower your team. And when I say empower your team, is that you need to make sure that you're evaluating the talent on your team. You're giving them the tools, information, and resources for them to be the highest, best use of themselves in the organization. You got to focus on that. You got to make sure that they are the highest, best use of themselves. And that means you got to make sure they're getting professional development, that your job as a leader is to remove obstacles and barriers out the way so they can be the best that they can be. So that means you got to create space on your calendar to be present with your team, to have conversations with them about what's going on with them and what's going wrong so you can literally solve the problems and get them out of the way so they can be great. That's your responsibility. Okay. I like what Vincent says, manage Monday, tough it Tuesday, wipe it out Wednesday, think through it Thursday, and freedom Friday. Those are great things. You know, freestyle Friday is the word that I would use. Sometimes I might even say Wu-Tang Wednesday because, you know, Wu-Tang is for the children. So you got to start thinking about the future on Wednesdays. But anyway, you get my point here. Recovery requires you to empower your team. You got to make sure that they're ready, fully equipped, and prepared. And the last thing that I'll say about recovery, it is about you. It is about you. That you have to do what is necessary as a leader to get out of your own way. I know you're the big dog. I know you worked hard to get where you are. I know you have done twice as much for twice as long to get half as much credit, and you finally got some measure of stature and impact in the organization. So you wear it with a badge of honor. But the way you're showing up is creating a culture of burnout across the enterprise. And you got to stop it. So now, if anything I said here today speaks to you and the challenges that you might be having in your organization, and you're worried about the capacity and the impact of your lack of capacity on the capacity of your team and the outputs of your organization, I would love to see if I could help you. I don't know if I can, but DM me the word capacity. And let's just have a conversation about what's going on with you and in your organization. And if something is going out, then we can talk about it. Now, I got a great question. What does a leader's burnout reveal about the system the organization has normalized? Well, here's what I would say to you, that a leader sets the system. So if the system is bad and it created a culture where burnout is normalized, then that means you're not doing a great job as a leader. Because a leader's responsibility, in my opinion, is to not only set those things up, but when they go wrong, they have to recognize how to fix them, how to turn them around. And that means fighting for change inside your organization. You know, sometimes leaders say, you know what, I didn't create the system. My job is just to run the plays. But think about this in sports. Quarterbacks are leaders of the team on the field. You got lots of leaders in football, but let's just say the quarterback is a leader on the field. So if the coach designs a play and that play looks perfect on paper, looks like a great system for executing, and the quarterback goes out there to try to execute the play and he's getting bust up on the field, that quarterback's responsibility is to come to the sideline and say to the coach, that play is not working. We need to change up. We need to do something different. The quarterback has to become an advocate for change. Now, let's say the play is working fine from the quarterback standpoint, but every time he hands the running back the ball, the running back gets stuffed in the hole, gets knocked down. Then the running back has to be the leader and come into the huddle and say, look, we can't run that play out of that formation. They're keying on it every time. I see the linebacker. I see the defensive end looking at it. So I know I'm losing some of you with this football analogy, but here's what I want you to know. Everybody's a leader. Whether you're the head coach, the quarterback, or the running back, you are a leader. That means you have a responsibility that when the system is not working and failing the people in the system, you have a responsibility to speak up. So if you're at the executive level, you should have no concerns about speaking up when your system in your organization is broken. If you're a leader at any level, if you got any title, management responsibility, or P&L responsibility, it's your job to say something. Like the sign at the airport with TSA put out for you. If you see something, say something. If you see the organization is broken and burned out, then you need to say something. But more specifically, if you're the reason why your team is burning out, you need to address your capacity. So if there's anything I can do, if you think I can help you, if you think you're having this problem, then again, send me a direct message, a DM with the word capacity, and let's get on a phone call and figure out whether I can help you or not. I want to thank you for watching. Everybody have a fantastic day. See you next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel for Leadership Live with Anton Gunn. Have a great day.